Boom, we are alive, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to take a little moment, I guess, and maybe burn a candle and have a moment of silence for Three Arrows Capital. Now, I'm not going to rag on them, but there are some lessons I would like to take from their particular story, and I'd also like to go over, I guess, how they ended up in that position. Okay, so this is perfect. So we're gonna go over Three Arrows Capital, and I'm gonna give you a little treat at the end of this video too, of something special about these sunglasses. For those of you who've been watching the channel for a while, you know I like to wear these. Anyways, point of this story. I looked up to Three Arrows Capital. You know, first off, a round of applause to Kyle Davies and Suju for getting to the point where they had a few $1 billion to kind of squander. Now, because of this, it brought me over the course of a few ideas we've talked about in the past. One of them is, I guess, really well highlighted in a book by Nassim Taleb, although I'm not a big fan of all of Mr. Taleb's ramblings. I think he does much better in print than he does on Twitter. Maybe it just takes more time to think if you're going to write something down in a book than you do on Twitter. Nonetheless, Fooled by Randomness is this great accentuous, almost like a voluminous storytelling of certain, let's go, cliche parables and also hyperbole. It's a lot of words that if you don't know what I'm saying, could sound like I'm just making shit up, but I promise this makes sense. You're dealing with, in all forms of life, the fact that you're here today is like a goddamn miracle, right? Like, it is a miraculous moment that you can be here at all. It's actually, the odds of it happening are very slim, right? For every step of the way, for you to survive and be alive on this floating ball of ice rock is actually fucking pretty miraculous. Anyway, so the point of this is often we assume that because something is the way it is, it didn't get there by luck. It got there because it was meant to be there. Like, it's good at what it does, right? This is where the idea of you know, for better or for worse, the Darwinian mechanisms, like, do we survive? And then that trial and error mechanism of what survives and why is really what brings the strongest, fittest, and often smartest to the front line of the human evolution. But this is a problem, because we're assuming that it didn't get there by luck. And mathematically speaking, it's actually a fair amount of it is deemed kind of by chance and by fortune. So often when we are in the place where we're doing very well, we forget to recognize that our own success is actually broadly based off luck. And it's not until we come to terms with that it really starts to make sense. And you start to become more humble, and then you do things that are less risky. Now, this brought me to an important part of the conversation, because again, I think Three Arrows Capital, this idea of only up, they had actually, you know, aside from some of their shortcomings, they had a great little thesis lined up, and I actually think that they, first off, again, deserve a round of applause for having got to that point. Now, where they made mistakes. Now, we won't get into any of the specifics, because what the hell do I know? And I'm not an investigative journalist here, but from the concept-wise, you don't need to be a journalist to figure out, wait a second, you're in venture capital. You're investing in some of the most highly volatile and insanely speculative things known to mankind. So if we're going to deal with an area of vehement, violent volatility, then everything else should be as stable and as succinctly articulated in terms of management as possible, right? So they went out on the deep end and started doing and playing in UST and Luna instead of, or be like, hey, we can earn 20% yield. We're just gonna kill it. And one of the things we thought early on in our treasury model as well was, hey, if we've got like X million dollars locked up and we're earning this amount of percentage of yield, we know that from an early venture standpoint, you're going to be able to win the game basically hands off. The downside is when you're dealing with almost any form of given stability, right? Whether it's in, hey, the US dollar is worth $1 US. Now that's the case today, but where is that 100 years from now? We don't know. Maybe the US dollar doesn't exist. So when we start to attach too heavily to an idea that something can be or will remain stable, we often get wiped out. Again, this Nassim did a great job in his book, The Black Swan, going over this sentiment as well, that there's a lot of tail risk, and unless you are engineering your thesis and how you want to manage your portfolio so that that tail risk doesn't exist, the only thing you're trying not to do, ladies and gentlemen, is get wiped out. Right? That's it. Like at the end of the day, all survival mechanisms is, hey, don't fucking die. Don't lose the game totally. Don't get taken out of the game totally. And I think it's such an important part for us to go over too. So seeing that some of our I'm a musician at heart, so like none of these venture capitalists are heroes to me. I look at people like Danny Carey and Terry Bozzio or Ravi Shankar, people who have spent their entire life studying, playing music, and executing their craft at such an immaculate degree that it's beyond almost what is art. That's what my main interests were. So in the art of venture capital, you're looking for that well-rounded story. Can you make an investment in something that's highly speculative, be right super fucking early, which they were. They got a lot of this thesis right, but at the end of the day, be humble enough to recognize that you got lucky. No matter how talented you are, you're lucky to be here. And I think that graciousness to accept that is important, not just from you could argue maybe a spiritual level, but also from a business perspective. You are dealing with high volatility investments, risky as all God hell, on purpose. And that's where all the upside comes from. So when dealing with your everyday to day thesis, like where's money flow coming from, how much US capital is there for me to build and manage my business, maintain the growth of my company, my family, etc., that should not interfere with the other. And often this is what happens. People we overstep and we displace what we were originally good at, was taking high risk bets. So, I don't know. I know, okay, well here, first off, I won't cut this video up at all. Y'all said you didn't like when I cut videos up. I was gonna read a few news articles, but it just didn't feel fitting. Again, I liked what Suju and Kyle Davies to put together here. I thought Three Arrows Capital was fucking awesome. I didn't think they could go down, but hey, lo and behold, look, guys, everybody can end up being a degenerate, even by accident. And I think it comes largely from the lack of relationship to, we live on a ball of ice and rock floating through interstellar motherfucking space at speeds that are hard to fathom. We've been pummeled by space rocks, debris. We've undergone cataclysm after cataclysm to get to where we are today. Everybody you know will know at one point is gonna die. All of our friends, our family are gonna disappear. We are so lucky to be here. And if that's not written into your thesis, well then yeah, I think the bar is set pretty low. Just don't die. Just don't get wiped out. I'm sorry to say it, like I'm not ragging on these guys here, but that's literally the only mechanism that our luck is based off of. Survival. That's how we've gotten this far. Anyways, thank you guys. I won't cut this up. You wanted me to rant more about stuff that was happening, so I'm gonna try it out, see where that goes. I guess this is kind of news, but it's also conceptual. You know, it fits into our venture capital thesis. Is we love this stuff. Like, look at their select investments. They were right up in there with some of the best. Early on, Mina, Near, Solana, and then all of a sudden Terra destroys everything for them. You know, that's it's mind-boggling. Anyways. Give us a thumbs up if you like today's content. I did not get bought out by FTX, but I do want to give a shout out to, yeah, let's go with FTX. We've made friends with a few of the people that work there over the year. Is that now, I guess? And we went to their Bahamas conference this year as well. We had an absolutely great time. Sam is extraordinarily intelligent. You can tell by the way he frames a lot of his questions. I think that's so important. They've obviously managed themselves extraordinarily well. I mean, the other side of this is just Sam and FTX are buying up a lot of these really distressed assets. Like FTX is going to run the world basically in terms of exchanges. I mean, you've got Binance, but Binance doesn't have the style. Like Sam, through his innocence, has style. It's amazing. Anyways, we're going to leave it at that. Steel with the Arcane Bear. Leave your comments. What do you guys think about these videos without the charts? And there's a bunch of stuff we could look at too, but you guys have been asking about more kind of just off the cuff vlogs. I think no editing in this one, none at all. Maybe 2 or 3 little just to put the thought together. But we're gonna keep trying that. What do you think? Oh yeah. See, I took the sunglasses off. I had to read something. I thought I was gonna tell you this whole secret about the sunglasses. I don't know. Boom.